What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Fruits Basket Episode 2. I'm very excited to get into this. I really enjoyed the first episode. I'm interested in learning more of the details of what is actually going on, whether or not all of these people are actually the members of the Zodiac, and if they have just been around for who knows how long, or if they are more just representations of it in some way and have some power related to it. There's a lot of ways it could go. I'm curious to find out what it is, though. So I won't delay things any further. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment and your thoughts, and let's get into this. All right. Oh, this poor delivery man. Of course. All right, so we're picking up right where we left off. Okay, they can talk in this form. I really appreciate that we're just picking up right here. Okay. A rat spirit. Joe Soma. Okay. All possessed. Okay, so they aren't the spirits themselves, but they've been possessed by them. Okay. All right. Like that. Okay. Oh, oh my god. Okay. Ooh, opening. That is wild that they don't have their clothes come with them. Okay. Very chill so far. Hmm. So far, a lot of stuff we've already seen. Or at least have hintings towards. Evidently, a lot of characters we haven't seen yet. Presumably the other members of the Zodiac. Okay, the two of them. I realize this show isn't just romance, but am I to take it that those two are the main romantic rivals? All right. Nice opening, very chill. That's impressive. Yeah, entirely so, it would seem. Okay, so he's a trained martial artist. Okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, did it hit her in the face? Oh, fucking just slapping him. Ooh. God, they just get to fighting. Really? Okay. I love that we're not even focusing on the fight. Okay, so he's consistently winning. Jesus. Probably fine. Yeah, very different from the vibe he was supposedly to have at school. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Oh. Something like this has happened before? Ooh, some kind of big event. Interesting, okay. He seems to be sulking. Oh my god. Fair, fair. Alright. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty big secret, so it would be sort of stupid to just tell people randomly. Oh my god. Jesus. Oh, okay. Wow, just telling her. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. I don't know how much I trust that voice. Hmm. The brooding. Oh no, it's happened at school. How are they gonna deal with this? He looks so cute. Fair? God, she really does think about others before herself. Wow. Oh, hey, that was pretty quick. Okay. Answering my question when I ask it, basically. And she's gonna fix it? Question mark? Yeah. Not in this case. Mm. Oh boy. God, the fan club is gonna be up in arms when they hear about any of this. Oh, by the way, I forgot to turn that off. I had a fan on. Hopefully it didn't come through the sound. Hmm. We could tell. Oh, he can't say it. Cool to see that he actually does feel bad about it. Cool. She already was doing that. Yeah, I'm curious why they're okay with it. Hmm. I like how protective Yuki is being. Yeah, an opportunity for what? Okay, interesting. I still don't fully trust them, but I don't know enough yet to say it. God! Cool. Wow, okay. Doesn't even know what they had. Siberia? Secret base? Secret cannon? Cool. Oh, he's in a suit. Okay. What is happening? Oh. Ah, hence how he ends up at their school. Oh my god. Oh. Training in the mountains. Okay. I'm curious where their rivalry began, given that they are people who just are possessed by the spirits. I guess Toru is in the same mindset as me. That's not it. He's just a a loner who doesn't know how to speak his mind about his feelings. Already the talk of the town. He does not know how to handle this. Oh, I love that. Fair. Sure. She's always talking about waves. What is she talking about? Oh, she can pick up on the vibe? Huh. Aw, they were making her hair nice. Uh-oh. Oh no! Oh no, his instincts. He jumps out of the what, like fifth floor or something? Of course she's into it. He does not know how to handle people. I guess he was in the mountains for 4 months. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So that's the basis of their conflict. Uh, she does have a way to immediately shut down any fights. Sure. Aww. Oh my god. Oh no. Yeah, he's gonna feel bad about that. Yeah. Yeah. I can already see, as I was saying, the basis of their rivalry. mm. It really is bugging him. Mm. Yeah. True. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Just get experience with being around people. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's bugging her as well. Yeah. She has a fondness for the cat. Mm. Someone's approaching. It's inevitably going to be one of them, but No. Oh, okay, he came out. Oh, okay. Oh, learning to control his anger. Hmm. Yep. Yeah. He's just not good at it. Hmm. Okay, going out and saying it just from the outright. Yeah. This is the basis of the relationship. Not necessarily in the same way that he was saying, but putting himself down. You think? Yeah. I'd say that's about right. Interesting phrasing. He knows what I'm sorry feels like. That's interesting phrasing. I like the song that's playing right now. He's nervous. What? Oh, I already love the dynamic of these four. All right, and that's the episode. Cool. All right, this is a fun episode. It's about what I expected and also what I was sort of hoping for. It explains a lot of the core details really quickly about what the circumstances of the Soma family actually are. What they are is a family who, for whatever reason, has for generations had the members of the family being possessed by these spirits of the zodiac, which grants them the power to communicate with the animal they are associated with, as well as the capacity to turn into their corresponding animal. But based on how it's described currently, it doesn't seem like it's necessarily they have the power to transform as much as it is they have the curse of when they get sick, they said, as well as when they get hugged by a girl for some reason. They turn into their animal for a varying amount of time. We see that it can be longer, it can be shorter, that kind of thing. But while they're in their animal form, they can talk with no issue, which is interesting. But they get all of that done really, really quickly. It gets explained very quickly, really simply. This episode continues to obviously have some characterization of Toru and continued emphasis of what we already knew about her, but much more this episode is focused on Yuki and Kyo, I believe his name is, establishing their dynamic, their personalities, and potentially where their arcs might lie and the future of their characters might go. For Yuki, he continues to be rather mysterious and enigmatic, but a couple times in the episode, we get what I think is a major piece of his character, being that he does not want to be part of the Soma clan. He does not want to be burdened by this curse or gift or possession, as it forces him to be fearful of ostracization and fearful of letting anybody get close to him. And so because of all of those fears and issues and stuff, he, both in this episode and last episode a couple times, mentions how he wishes he could escape the family. And in last episode, he had actually acknowledged how that's part of the reason why he seems to immediately be admiring and protective of Toru, because her living out in the woods in a tent made him realize hey, wait a minute, if I really wanted to just leave all this behind, I could just go and live on my own. I always had that choice. Of course, it wouldn't solve the greater issue, but it made him realize that he wasn't considering all his options, and that Toru is someone who is potentially more determined and hardworking than someone like him to actually do what they want, achieve what they want. Of course, he doesn't necessarily process all the ways that the way she's been living is negative for her, but he does recognize pieces of what Toru is doing that he could have done or could do that could lead him towards escaping his current life. And I think a lot of that is at the core of why he is so immediately protective and caring towards Toru. But to shift over towards that fear of ostracization, they do a good job in this episode of emphasizing the reason that Yuki has been such a mysterious and enigmatic person at school because of this possession, resulting in the risk of him ever getting close to a woman, risking his entire life, basically. But we also learn that someone in the family, or all of them hypothetically, or by some means, they are capable of erasing or altering people's memories. He said that it is more so a form of hypnotism than anything, but regardless, a way of basically wiping from people's minds that this is a thing they can do, they can transform, that kind of thing. And it's something they've had to do in the past, which clearly was in some way a childhood trauma of his, given that the way it's described and shown, he had become friends with a girl his age, was having fun, just getting along, and then she accidentally hugged him. Everyone discovered that he could turn into a rat, and it became a massive issue. And when asking another member of the family, which seems to maybe be the head of the family, why they had to keep this hidden, the answer was because they will think you are weird and be sickened by you and ostracize you, which, though it may be true, between experiencing the event of having to essentially lose a friend, if not more friends, due to an incident like this, as well as being told by an adult you look up to, presumably, you cannot let this secret get out or else your friends will abandon you. That's some traumatic stuff for a child that would definitely be internalized going into their adolescence and adulthood, which, as I was discussing before, clearly is a basis of why he wants to sort of escape the family. And the way we see this manifest in the modern day for him is that obviously, he already cares about Toru to some extent, but his reaction to the realization that probably they'll have to erase her memories is that he is legitimately sorry for her. He does not want this to happen, but he has internalized the fact that that is something that must happen. He isn't doubting that it will, he isn't trying to convince people that it shouldn't happen. He was the first person to go, oh, I guess we're doing that. That's why Shigure was so blasé about telling her, because they were just going to wipe her memory later. And even once he is told by Shigure, nope, this is fine, as long as she doesn't tell anyone, she can keep her memories, he doubts why that would be the case and immediately is worrying about if they're trying to use Toru for some goal. So it's clear that Yuki does legitimately care about other people, hence why he is clearly so sorry about the fact that Toru will have to lose her memories, or at least in the moment he thinks she will have to. But also we see that when he notices she really isn't avoiding him or acting strange because he can turn into a rat, he begins to even just a little bit doubt his original internalized belief about what would happen if anyone discovered, because her casual and friendly attitude towards him regardless is in direct contrast with that. He still hasn't let go of that for sure, because he outright asks her, are you not sickened by me? Of course, she misunderstands, thinking that he's just asking if she's sick or whatever, but it very much goes to show what he thinks will happen when anyone finds out and how he reacts to something not going the way he thinks it will, which I enjoy. I'm very eager to see some more layers about him and his assumptions and beliefs peeled back and exposed and explored. And then though, on the other hand, we have Kyo, who I would argue is the real focus of the episode. Given that this is essentially the episode that introduces him, it's where we learn the most about him, but we basically learn that he is a trained martial artist, has been training in the mountains for 4 months, and whether or not he had particularly good social skills prior to that, it is clear that he is not the best with people, and those 4 months in the mountains probably didn't help. And throughout the episode, personality-wise, we have a lot of things pointing to what Toru assesses at the end of the episode, being that he is a very honest person who has a tough exterior and is fairly awkward. He doesn't know how to get along with people, but at his core, he is a gentle person. He has a gentle heart, as she says. Whether his awkward demeanor and aggressive attitude are the cause of something in his childhood, or if it's just naturally how he is personality-wise, is to be seen. But just core personality-wise, I really like him. I really like our awkward, aggressive, shy being who has been training in the mountains for long enough to beat Yuki in a fight to the point that his natural instinct to being nearly grabbed by a girl is to pin her in a grapple. His natural first instinct is to yell at people, to push them away, that kind of thing, which, if I were to guess, is probably largely based on the fact that he is the outsider of his family. At multiple points, he's referred to as an outsider. Being the cat, he represents the animal that was left out of the zodiac. Among those who are at risk of being ostracized due to their nature, he is ostracized within them. The exact details of which we shall see, because by the nature of them being normal people possessed by the spirits, presumably they don't one-to-one share backstories matching that of the stories of the Zodiac, but even then it is clear that they at the very least match their animals in some way, shape, or form. Both the cat and Kyo are outsiders within their respective groups. And we learn that one of his main goals seems to be becoming a full-fledged member of the Soma family, which is thematically essentially the same as him as the cat trying to find himself a place in the Zodiac, which leads to a very interesting contrast, which I very much like, which clearly is a position where Yuki and Kyo butt heads constantly on and might even be the origin of a lot of their fights. Yuki is an outsider within his own family. He yearns to have a place to belong, even if it is amongst those who are already outsiders. He yearns for that belonging, for whatever reason, whatever purpose, whatever goal he might have beyond that. He's just seeking that belonging within his family. Meanwhile, Yuki wants nothing more than to be free of this, to abandon the family, and presumably not be trapped by the possession of the rat. So they fundamentally have wishes and goals and ideals that are directly opposed. One couldn't see why you'd want to be part of the Soma family, and the other wants nothing more than to be a full-fledged member of the Soma family. So fundamentally, whenever one of them is speaking their own ideals to the other, they are at the same time, if they are not careful, trampling atop the goals and ideals of the other. At the end of the day, they both are clearly very kind and caring people, but just after however long of constant bickering and fighting and arguing, they find themselves in a position where they just can never gel, they can never agree with each other. And that works as, in my mind, a perfect rivalry setup. A perfect dynamic for a rivalry, which, if we're talking in more shonen-esque language, it's perfect for that kind of dynamic where they get pushed apart and pulled back together because they're both people who, at the end of the day, should be able to get along, but their ideals push them apart, that kind of thing. But then also from the romance angle, if we look at it that way, Toru's place in this is a spot where, very clearly so far, Yuki and Toru naturally get along fairly well, because Yuki has always sought to be able to be close with people and not be ostracized due to his state as being possessed by the rat, and Toru is someone who accepts that openly. So they get along well, and a relationship with them could work quite well. But then, while Kyo is on the surface much harder to get close to, and him and Toru clearly have struggles getting close to each other in this initial episode, we also have brought back up that Toru deeply cares about the cat as the outsider of the Zodiac, and always wanted to befriend and help the cat and make it feel accepted, that kind of thing. I talked about that a bit in my last reaction. So inevitably, Toru's own wishes and hopes and ideals lead her to wanting to help and support Kyo, which inevitably, though he has his aggressive exterior, would lead them to get together as well, potentially. So we have inevitably a really solid love triangle, if that's the angle they take it, where essentially Toru has plenty of reason to go after either of them romantically or just platonically, and both of them have plenty of reason to reciprocate, but the two of them have lots of baggage forcing each other apart, which basically just leaves Toru in the middle of all this. But, of course, as I sort of alluded to during the reaction, Toru has the ultimate de-escalation tool at her disposal for these two. Toru is the best way for Kyo and Yuki to finally get along again, if they ever did in the first place. Anytime they start to fight, all that Toru has to do is hug one or both of them, and suddenly they are not going to be able to fight all that well because they'll be a cat and a rat. Of course, they could still fight in that form, but I don't think that's the angle that they're going to take here. It seems like that when they're in their animal forms, they largely speaking are being cute and goofy. So in all likelihood, because of that, I imagine we will see a lot more of Yuki and Kyo butting heads, almost getting into a fight, and Toru forcibly de-escalating. I'm curious to see how that evolves, how it grows. Now that Kyo is going to the same school as all of them, he's gonna have to get used to that. I really love how awkward he was with all the attention, but other than that, there's really only one other thing I want to call out. Because Shigure didn't really thematically or narratively do much in this episode other than serve as a middleman between the main cast so far and the head of the family. I'm gonna see if I can find their name. Okay, I think the head of the family, if they are the head of the family, is named Akito, and we get a little glimpse of them twice in this episode. Once is behind a screen through a window when in the flashback of Yuki asking them why they have to keep it a secret that they turn into animals. And then the other time is a very brief moment where we get a line or two from him relating to why they allowed Toru to keep their memories, which is they see an opportunity in Toru. We shall see what that opportunity is, but what we do know is that they deem it an opportunity for Yuki, Kyo, and me. So something about Toru may not necessarily be fundamentally an opportunity or anything to the Soma family as a whole, not necessarily like breaking the possession or anything like that, but at the same time, because they included themselves in that, it can't be as simple as helping Yuki and Kyo get along. It has to be something more than that. Akito has something to gain from this. I'm very curious to see what that is. I don't think we have enough information based on the tiny bit we saw of them to guess, really, but I am very intrigued by it. So far, Akito is a character I don't fully trust, but I don't want to just immediately suspect them of being malicious. I'll have to see more of them for that. But with that, I think I'll leave things there. I think I've pretty thoroughly covered all of the logistics of the characters as we've explored them in this episode. So I hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe if you did. Leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all had a great day. Goodbye.